Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Sienna and Noah's hostage crisis, Cain surrenders to Phyllis. Sienna Bacall and Noah Newman may have a hostage crisis ahead of them. Cain Ashby will also surrender to Phyllis Summers, so plenty of YNR action is on the way. They will eventually go somewhere more private once Phyllis accepts Cain's invitation to spend the evening together. It looks like Cain will end up in Phyllis's suite, where they'll kiss passionately and most likely strip down for some bedroom fun. Cain might regret letting Phyllis get inside his head in the aftermath, but he'll feel ready to distance himself from Lily Winters in that moment. Since Lily judges Cain for his mistakes, he'll savor the feeling of Phyllis's acceptance and sizzle with her. In the meantime, the drama in Los Angeles will heat up in a different way. Nick Newman and Sharon Newman will deal with growing concerns regarding Noah's disappearance, who will become involved in yet another terrifying circumstance. It looks like Matt Clark aka Mitch Bacall may have Noah thrown in captivity with a little help from Detective Burrow. Noah will end up unconscious in a small space with boxes around, so more trouble's brewing. Sienna may face the same affair punishment since she'll also land in this small space, which could easily be a storage unit or hidden room somewhere. In any case, Sienna will be in a state of panic over Noah's condition and will frantically urge him to wake up. Sienna may interpret Noah's arrival as a positive sign because he will thankfully arrive and begin asking questions. Of course, Noah and Sienna will worry about Matt's next vengeful move. Sharon and Nick's concerns about Matt aka Mitch are very valid, so Sienna and Noah may acknowledge that as his twisted side becomes more apparent. In the end, Noah and Sienna may determine that if they can't find a way to escape, they could pay a fatal price for their cheating scandal. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Matt will make some updates to his revenge strategy and lead to disturbing news, so stay tuned. The tension in Genoa City is reaching an explosive boiling point as Sienna Bacall and Noah Newman find themselves on the precipice of a hostage crisis that could shake the foundation of the Newman family and beyond. What starts as a night that could have been filled with laughter and mundane chatter quickly escalates into a situation that threatens lives and tests loyalties. Sienna, usually composed and confident, feels the walls closing in when Noah, her co-conspirator in more than one secret, ends up unconscious and trapped in a confined space surrounded by boxes, the eerie silence broken only by the faintest groans that suggest he might still be alive. Panic seizes her, and as she frantically shakes him, urging him to wake, every second feels like an eternity, each tick of the clock amplifying the dread of what Matt Clark, now going by Mitch Bacall, might have planned next. The psychological pressure alone is unbearable, as the very thought of Matt's cunning and vengeful mind makes Sienna's pulse race. She knows that any misstep, any moment of hesitation, could be fatal. Meanwhile, in a completely different corner of the city, Cain Ashby is navigating his own whirlwind of temptation and guilt as Phyllis Summers lures him into a night that will irrevocably blur the lines of fidelity, morality, and desire. Cain's surrender to Phyllis is both literal and metaphorical, a yielding not just to her charm but to a temptation that has been simmering under the surface for far too long. The evening begins innocuously enough, with Phyllis graciously accepting Cain's invitation to spend time together, but it quickly escalates into a more private, intimate setting, one where sparks ignite and years of repressed tension explode into a passionate kiss, each movement more daring than the last. Cain, who has spent so long trying to maintain a facade of control and propriety in his relationship with Lily Winters, finds himself dissolving under Phyllis's magnetic allure. He feels the thrill of being truly seen and accepted, of someone embracing him without judgment, which is a stark contrast to Lily's often critical gaze that seems to pierce him with every misstep, real or perceived. As the evening progresses, clothes are shed and the boundaries between right and wrong become increasingly irrelevant, the two of them lost in a fevered moment where the outside world, and all its consequences, cease to exist. Yet even as Cain surrenders to Phyllis's seduction, an undercurrent of regret whispers in the back of his mind, reminding him that the world outside Phyllis's suite will not be so forgiving. The guilt will inevitably surface, a shadow that will loom over any fleeting happiness he finds in Phyllis's arms. Back in Los Angeles, the stakes could not be higher as Noah gradually regains consciousness, disoriented but alive, and meets Sienna's desperate gaze with questioning eyes that mirror her own fear. They exchange rapid-fire questions and panicked plans, each aware that Matt Clark's capacity for malice is far from exhausted and that every heartbeat could be the one that determines their fate. Sharon and Nick Newman, meanwhile, are frantic, their anxiety mounting with each passing hour as they chase leads, trying to piece together Noah's last known whereabouts while simultaneously bracing for the worst. Their fears are not unfounded. Matt, ever the schemer, has been manipulating the circumstances to trap Noah and Sienna in a situation that leaves them vulnerable, isolated, and entirely at his mercy. The hidden space where they are confined could be a storage unit, a deserted warehouse, or some other forgotten corner of the city, but the precise location is irrelevant compared to the suffocating reality that their lives are teetering on the edge. Every sound, every shadow seems to foreshadow the impending danger, and Sienna feels the weight of responsibility pressing down on her, knowing that Noah's life may depend as much on her quick thinking and courage as on any chance intervention from outside forces. In the midst of this, their minds cannot help but flicker to the ramifications of their own actions, the scandal, the betrayal, the secrets that have led them here. The adultery and deception that had seemed manageable in the relative safety of secrecy now carry real, tangible consequences, and each moment in captivity brings with it the stark reality that paying the price could be more severe than either of them anticipated. Every plan they form, every whispered suggestion of escape, is tinged with the horror of what Matt might do if their efforts fail, and the tension between fear and determination creates a volatile cocktail of emotion that threatens to overwhelm them. Meanwhile, Cain and Phyllis are enveloped in their own storm of desire and temptation, their private encounter serving as a counterpoint to the chaos unfolding elsewhere. The heat between them is palpable, each look, touch, and kiss charged with years of suppressed emotion and unspoken longing, creating a heady mix that makes it nearly impossible for Cain to resist. He is acutely aware of Lily's judgment, the disapproval that has haunted him, and yet in Phyllis's arms, that scrutiny disappears, replaced with acceptance and fiery passion. Cain's surrender is not merely a physical act. It is a surrender of control, a release of the guilt and tension that has defined his relationship with Lily, at least for this fleeting moment. And yet, no matter how intoxicating the encounter, the consequences of this choice loom like a storm on the horizon. Cain knows that the comfort he finds with Phyllis is temporary, a reprieve from the realities he cannot escape, and that once the night ends, he must face the repercussions, both in his relationship with Lily and in the wider web of personal and professional entanglements that define his life in Genoa City. Back in the tense confines of the makeshift holding area, Noah and Sienna grapple with both immediate survival and the larger moral weight of their situation. Each second is fraught with the anxiety of discovery, the dread of Matt's next move, and the gnawing awareness that their own choices have contributed to this peril. Noah, despite his disorientation, begins to formulate plans, probing Sienna for details, trying to understand the extent of Matt's manipulations, while Sienna, torn between hope and panic, does her best to keep him calm and focused. They know that any sign of weakness could embolden Matt further, pushing him toward even more ruthless actions. The psychological pressure is immense, as both Sienna and Noah weigh the risks of escape against the possibility of being caught in the act, knowing full well that failure could result in serious injury, or worse. Matt's vengeance is methodical, cruel, and deeply personal, designed not just to punish but to humiliate and break the spirits of those he deems responsible for his grievances. The interplay between Sienna and Noah's fear, determination, and resilience is electrifying, creating a tense atmosphere that keeps readers on edge, waiting for the next move in this high-stakes game of power, survival, and morality. In parallel, Cain and Phyllis's escapade provides a combustible foil, highlighting the themes of temptation, desire, and the consequences of surrendering to passion. The juxtaposition of these storylines, the life-threatening peril of Noah and Sienna versus the morally charged surrender of Cain to Phyllis, creates a layered narrative that keeps fans riveted, each subplot feeding into the other with escalating tension. As the evening wears on, both pairs are caught in the grip of forces that test their limits, reveal hidden desires, and expose the cracks in their emotional armor. Sienna's frantic ministrations over Noah, his eventual awakening, and their whispered strategies for survival contrast sharply with Cain and Phyllis's indulgent, heady abandon, yet beneath both scenarios lies a similar theme, the collision of personal desire with external pressures, and the high cost of decisions made in the heat of emotion. Genoa City and Los Angeles alike are poised on the edge of chaos, with the reverberations of these intertwined stories promising fallout that will affect every corner of the Newman family and their associates. Every character is forced to confront uncomfortable truths, about themselves, about their relationships, and about the lengths they are willing to go to achieve satisfaction, justice, or survival. The Young and the Restless spoilers indicate that Matt's plans will evolve, introducing new layers of danger and moral complexity, ensuring that Noah and Sienna's predicament remains perilous and Cain and Phyllis's choices continue to ripple outward in unexpected ways. The tension, the drama, and the moral ambiguity of each decision create a narrative that is as emotionally gripping as it is suspenseful, leaving viewers and fans clamoring for each new revelation. With Noah and Sienna trapped and Cain and Phyllis caught in the throes of temptation, the stage is set for a series of dramatic confrontations, desperate escapes, and shocking confessions that will redefine relationships, test loyalties, and push every character to their emotional limits. Matt's revenge, Cain's surrender, Phyllis's allure, Sienna's panic, and Noah's determination intertwine into a perfect storm of suspense, desire, and fear, setting up a week of drama, intrigue, and edge-of-your-seat tension that Young and the Restless fans will not want to miss. From the intimate, searing moments in Phyllis's suite to the claustrophobic fear of captivity in Los Angeles, the dual storylines serve as a masterclass in weaving together high-stakes drama with emotionally charged character interactions, and the ripple effects promise to affect every corner of the narrative for weeks to come. As Sienna and Noah contemplate the consequences of their predicament, and Cain and Phyllis revel in the fleeting relief of their passion, viewers are left questioning what will endure, what will shatter, and who will emerge from these intertwined crises forever changed. The heightened tension between desire, danger, loyalty, and survival ensures that the coming episodes will be filled with emotional whiplash, shocking decisions, and jaw-dropping reveals that make Young and the Restless a must-watch saga of love, betrayal, and suspense. The night deepens, and the peril surrounding Sienna Bacall and Noah Newman intensifies as every passing second amplifies the sense of dread that has taken hold of them in their cramped, shadowy confinement. Sienna cannot help but pace the small space, her heels clicking against the concrete floor as she frantically assesses their surroundings, her mind racing for possible exits or weaknesses in the structure that might allow them a chance to flee. Each time Noah stirs, her relief is immediate but fleeting, replaced almost instantly by the gnawing worry over Matt Clark's next move, the man who has made it his mission to torment them both, his mind as cold and calculating as it is inventive in cruelty. Noah, gradually regaining full awareness, begins piecing together fragmented memories of his capture, the shadowy figure that looms over him, and the sinister purpose behind his confinement. His instincts kick in, honed by years of danger and family entanglements, and he begins murmuring suggestions to Sienna, trying to formulate a plan to escape before Matt can return with another layer of intimidation or physical threat. Meanwhile, Sienna fights her own panic, her fear for Noah's safety compounded by a growing awareness of how tenuous their position is. They are utterly dependent on one another for support, strength, and clarity, and the weight of that responsibility presses heavily on her. Every creak of the building, every distant sound from outside, seems magnified in the small, dimly lit room, echoing in her ears like an ominous drumbeat of impending danger. The couple alternates between whispered strategizing and moments of helpless silence, each lapse into fear a reminder of the precariousness of their situation. Noah's efforts to remain calm and collected are only partially successful, as the knowledge that Matt's vengeance is unpredictable fuels the anxiety that threatens to destabilize them both. In the broader context, Nick and Sharon Newman are tirelessly working in Los Angeles and Genoa City simultaneously, piecing together scraps of intelligence, following cryptic leads, and hoping desperately that their combined efforts will prevent tragedy. Sharon's worry manifests as a relentless stream of phone calls, frantic messages, and coordination with law enforcement, while Nick's approach is more measured but equally intense, balancing rational problem-solving with the emotional weight of a mother and father fearing for their child. Their mutual fear for Noah's safety is compounded by the horrifying possibility that Sienna herself could be a target, or worse, collateral damage in Matt's increasingly elaborate schemes. Matt, now firmly ensconced in his role as Mitch Bacall, thrives on psychological manipulation, taking perverse satisfaction in watching his captives wrestle with fear, confusion, and the creeping realization that escape may not come easily, or at all. He delights in subtle cruelty, leaving them just enough space to move but not enough to leave, whispering threats through cracks in doors, or arranging objects in a way that increases their sense of confinement. For Sienna and Noah, the psychological toll begins to weigh as heavily as the physical. Every shift of the body, every muffled noise outside their makeshift prison, reminds them that they are not merely trapped, they are being watched, tested, and toyed with, their responses analyzed by a mind far more devious than they ever anticipated. Sienna's thoughts oscillate between panic, determination, and moments of searing guilt, as she realizes that their scandal, the cheating, the secrets, the betrayals, has now put both of their lives in jeopardy. Noah, meanwhile, alternates between anger at Matt's cruelty and the pragmatic focus required to survive, trying to reassure Sienna even as he struggles to keep his own fear at bay. Together, they form a tenuous alliance of willpower and emotional interdependence, each feeding off the other's courage while simultaneously fearing that one wrong move could undo all their efforts. In Genoa City, Cain Ashby's night with Phyllis Summers has spiraled into a fevered tempest of desire, temptation, and moral compromise. The suite they occupy is thick with the scent of perfume and adrenaline, the room dimly lit, shadows dancing across the walls as Cain and Phyllis navigate the fine line between indulgence and recklessness. Every kiss, every brush of skin, is charged with years of pent-up longing and unspoken emotions, a heady mix of attraction, guilt, and liberation. Cain, acutely aware of the judgment and disappointment he faces from Lily Winters, allows himself a rare indulgence in Phyllis's warmth, the closeness between them a balm for the tension that has haunted him in recent months. Phyllis, equally aware of the danger and thrill of their tryst, encourages Cain's surrender, guiding the night's progression with a mixture of teasing flirtation and urgent passion. The intensity of the encounter leaves Cain momentarily unmoored from his usual caution, swept up in the intoxicating mix of desire and relief that comes from being accepted without reservation. Yet beneath the lust and exhilaration, Cain cannot escape the subtle pangs of conscience and the awareness that this night, no matter how pleasurable, carries consequences that will ripple far beyond the walls of Phyllis's suite. As he surrenders fully to the moment, the reality of the situation in Los Angeles is never far from the audience's mind. Noah and Sienna are in mortal peril, their lives hanging in the balance as Matt's machinations grow increasingly sinister. The contrast between Cain's indulgence in passion and Sienna and Noah's fight for survival serves to heighten the tension, underscoring the stakes of both storylines and creating a narrative that oscillates between intimate drama and high-stakes thriller. Matt, watching from the shadows of his own design, is fully aware of the psychological pressure he has created. He thrives on the uncertainty and fear, calculating each move with precision and an almost surgical cruelty, knowing that the longer he can sustain this tension, the more effective his manipulation will be. For Noah, the challenge is not merely to survive physically, but to maintain mental clarity in an environment designed to erode both resolve and hope. Each movement, each whispered word from Sienna, becomes a lifeline, a reminder that cooperation and calm thinking may be their only means of survival. For Sienna, her own resourcefulness and courage are put to the test in ways she had never imagined. She is forced to confront not only the immediate danger posed by Matt, but also the emotional consequences of the choices that brought them here, the web of secrets, lies, and betrayals that now threatens to consume them both. Even as fear grips them, there are moments of connection and reassurance, fleeting but profound, that remind both Noah and Sienna why they fight to survive, why they refuse to succumb to panic or despair. The danger escalates further as Matt begins implementing the next phase of his revenge, leaving disturbing clues that suggest he may have even darker plans in store. His ability to anticipate their movements, to manipulate their perceptions of safety, creates an almost inescapable sense of dread, leaving the audience on edge, anticipating the next horrifying development. Simultaneously, Cain and Phyllis's night reaches its fevered crescendo, the emotional and physical surrender between them mirroring the high stakes faced by Sienna and Noah, albeit in a different register. Kane experiences both the thrill of escape from his own moral restraints and the looming awareness that this indulgence could have repercussions that extend into every corner of his life in Genoa City. The intense passion between him and Phyllis contrasts sharply with the terror of the hostage crisis, offering viewers a masterful interplay of suspense, romance, and moral ambiguity that drives the narrative forward with unrelenting momentum. Meanwhile, the threat posed by Matt, ever present, ever calculating, remains the shadow that looms over both storylines, a reminder that actions have consequences, that the sins of secrecy and betrayal can carry unexpected and deadly weight. In Los Angeles, Sienna begins searching for any weakness in their containment, testing the walls, probing for hidden exits, and formulating a plan that balances ingenuity with caution. Noah, regaining strength and clarity, joins her efforts, their coordination growing more precise as the stakes increase. Together, they work in tense synchrony, aware that their survival depends on trust, timing, and a clear-headed assessment of the risks. The psychological interplay between hope and terror is almost unbearable, each moment of progress immediately shadowed by the potential for disaster.